Actor Heath Ledger was found dead today in an apartment here in New York City.
In addition, Heath was barely sleeping, and I think he was pushing himself to the point of exhaustion.
Because they cause this sedative effect, and it slows our respiratory system. So people literally stop breathing.
Ledger has left us an original and enduring legacy.
On January 22nd, 2008, Heath Ledger was found dead in his apartment in the Soho neighborhood of New York City. He was 28 years old. In the days before his death, Ledger had returned from London, where he had been working on The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. He was reportedly suffering from severe insomnia and had been prescribed multiple medications to help him sleep. Friends said he often spoke about being physically exhausted but unable to rest.
And friends say that this was really tearing away at him, that this was the most important person in his life, and he was a little heartbroken. In addition, Heath was barely sleeping, and I think he was pushing himself to the point of exhaustion.
That Tuesday morning, Ledger was in his rented apartment at 421 Broome Street. His housekeeper arrived around 12 p.m. She entered quietly to do some household chores and saw him sleeping in his bedroom. Nothing seemed unusual. She went about her work and left him undisturbed.
On the day of Heath's death, his housekeeper reportedly showed up to his residence to do her weekly cleaning.
Earlier that day, Ledger had scheduled a massage with his regular masseuse, Diana Wallazin, for the afternoon. Around 2:30 p.m., she arrived at the building and called his phone to let him know she was there. He didn't answer.
Around 2:45 that afternoon, Diana Wallazin, the masseuse that Heath had scheduled for a 3 p.m. appointment, showed up to the residence.
When she entered the bedroom, she found him lying in bed, unresponsive. She attempted to wake him, but quickly realized something was wrong. Ledger was not breathing. She immediately called a friend of his, actress Mary-Kate Olsen, who lived nearby, to ask for advice.
Finding Ledger's body, the massage therapist picked up the phone and called, of all people, Mary-Kate Olsen.
Olsen told her to call 911 at once. At approximately 2:45 p.m., the emergency call was placed. Paramedics arrived within minutes. They attempted to resuscitate him, but were unsuccessful. Heath Ledger was pronounced dead at 3:36 p.m. inside his apartment. News of his death spread rapidly around the world.
Actor Heath Ledger was found dead today in an apartment here in New York City. He was just 28 years old.
Television networks interrupted programming, and social media flooded with disbelief and grief. Outside his Soho building, fans began leaving flowers, letters, and candles. The New York Police Department conducted an initial investigation. There were no signs of foul play or struggle. On the bedside table, investigators found several prescription bottles, including sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication, and painkillers.
Because they cause this sedative effect, and it slows our respiratory system. So people literally stop breathing.
The medications were all legally prescribed in Ledger's name. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner performed an autopsy the next day. Initial results were inconclusive, and further toxicology tests were ordered. 2 weeks later, the official report concluded that Heath Ledger died of acute intoxication due to the combined effects of 6 prescription drugs: oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, temazepam, alprazolam, and doxylamine. The death was ruled an accidental overdose. Authorities stated there was no evidence of suicide. His family in Australia also confirmed that they believed his death was accidental.
Sleeping tablets on top of prescription medication, it's not a good mixture. And he sort of said, Katie, look, it'll be fine, I just need to get some sleep.
Ledger's father released a statement saying, "We, Heath's family, confirm the tragic, untimely death of our beloved son, brother, and loving father. He was a down-to-earth, generous, kind-hearted young man who was extremely inspired by life and deeply committed to his family and friends." At the time of his death, Ledger was in the middle of several professional commitments. His role as the Joker in The Dark Knight had just completed filming, and early reactions from studio insiders described his performance as groundbreaking. He was also co-parenting his 2-year-old daughter, Matilda Rose Ledger, with actress Michelle Williams. Those close to him later said he had been struggling with anxiety, exhaustion, and an inability to sleep. In interviews, Ledger himself mentioned his insomnia, saying he sometimes slept only 2 hours a night and had begun relying on prescription medication to rest.
At the end of his life, he knew he needed to stop taking them and that it wasn't having a good effect on him, but at the same time, he was desperate for sleep.
Friends and colleagues described him as devoted to his craft, a perfectionist who immersed himself deeply in every character he played. His performance as the Joker demanded months of psychological preparation. He isolated himself in a hotel room for weeks, writing a diary in the Joker's voice and experimenting with speech patterns and gestures. Although some later speculated that the role had contributed to his decline, those who worked with him on The Dark Knight said he was proud of the performance and looking forward to the film's release. Ledger's final day was ordinary in appearance, but overshadowed by fatigue and dependence on medication. There were no signs that he intended to harm himself. Every indication pointed to a tragic accident, a young actor seeking rest after months of relentless work. By evening, his body was removed from the apartment and taken to the city medical examiner's office. Fans continued to gather outside through the night. Across the world, fellow actors, directors, and musicians expressed their shock and sorrow. Tributes poured in from Australia to Hollywood. His death marked the end of a career that had only just reached its peak, leaving behind a legacy of talent, discipline, and dedication that would soon be recognized with the release of The Dark Knight. The morning after Heath Ledger's death, news outlets across the world led with the story. Tributes filled television screens, newspapers, and radio stations. Outside his apartment in Soho, fans continued to leave flowers, photographs, and handwritten messages. The sidewalks remained crowded for several days. His body was transported to the Frank E. Campbell Funeral Home in Manhattan. Family members flew in from Australia, including his father Kim Ledger, mother Sally Bell, and sister Kate. Michelle Williams, his former partner, and the mother of his daughter Matilda, also arrived in New York to privately mourn with close friends.
Really, I just hope to be the best mom that I can be. There's no part of my life that goes untouched by my daughter.
The New York City Police Department confirmed there was no evidence of criminal activity. Toxicology results later revealed the cause of death as acute intoxication from a combination of prescription drugs. Investigators emphasized that the overdose appeared accidental. Ledger's passing prompted a larger discussion about the pressures faced by actors and the misuse of prescription medication in the entertainment industry. The combination of sedatives, anti-anxiety drugs, and painkillers found in his system was known to be dangerous when taken together. His insomnia and stress from intense work schedules were widely cited as contributing factors. In the weeks that followed, tributes from the film community continued. Directors, co-stars, and fans spoke about his dedication and authenticity.
Ledger has left us an original and enduring legacy.
One of the biggest heartthrobs on earth, taking on that character. That's an artist.
According to the report, it was an overdose of many, many different things, so that's too bad. Maybe it's the same thing. Prescription drugs is probably, in its own way, just as bad.
Christopher Nolan, who directed The Dark Knight, described Ledger as fearless in his performance and deeply committed to every detail of his role.
It was a tremendous thing to be involved with because Heath didn't do many films.
Christian Bale called him a remarkable partner on set and said that no one expected how powerful his work as the Joker would be.
Heath Ledger, who, oh my God, you know, what a performance, what a pleasure to have gotten to work with him and just to see him, you know, and how much he put himself into the Joker. And I was watching it going, yeah, this is absolutely fantastic.
At the 2009 Academy Awards, Heath Ledger was posthumously awarded the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of the Joker. His family accepted the award on his behalf. His father, mother, and sister stood together on stage and dedicated the award to his daughter Matilda.
We proudly accept this award on behalf of your beautiful Matilda,
saying that it was a tribute to his incredible dedication and love for his craft. In his hometown of Perth, Australia, a public memorial service was held on February 9th, 2008. Thousands attended to honor his memory.
Of course, this week we've seen the very tragic and sudden and surprising death of Heath Ledger.
After the service, his body was cremated and his ashes were interred at Karrakatta Cemetery next to his grandparents. The funeral remained private, attended only by family and close friends. Following his death, The Dark Knight was released in July 2008 to universal acclaim. Ledger's performance as the Joker was widely regarded as one of the greatest in modern cinema. Audiences and critics alike described it as transformative, intense, and unforgettable. The film grossed over $1 billion worldwide and became a cultural phenomenon. The success of The Dark Knight ensured that Ledger's legacy would never be forgotten. Even those who had not followed his earlier work came to recognize his range and artistry. From his breakout role in 10 Things I Hate About You to Brokeback Mountain to his final completed performance, he was known for choosing roles that challenged him and pushed emotional boundaries. In later interviews, his family and colleagues consistently described him as kind, generous, and deeply thoughtful. They emphasized that despite his fame, he remained grounded and focused on being a good father to Matilda. The diary he kept while developing the Joker character was later found among his belongings. It contained sketches, notes, and fragments of dialogue, showing the depth of his preparation. Contrary to popular myths, it did not suggest any intention of self-harm. Instead, it showed an artist exploring the psychology of his character in extraordinary detail. After his death, many mental health professionals pointed to his story as an example of how lack of rest, stress, and prescription medication can combine in dangerous ways.
Having this combination of medications can be particularly dangerous because it is not only combining classes or families of medications that may have overlapping effects.
They cause this sedative effect, and it slows our respiratory system. So people literally stop breathing.
The conversation about insomnia, anxiety, and work-related burnout in Hollywood gained new visibility because of what happened to him. Heath Ledger's passing also brought renewed attention to the responsibilities of studios, agents, and doctors working with high-profile actors. Several changes in prescription policies and awareness campaigns about medication safety followed in the years after. Despite the tragedy, Ledger's influence on cinema continued to grow. His portrayal of the Joker inspired a generation of actors and filmmakers. The role set a new standard for psychological complexity in comic book films and earned him a place among the greatest performances in movie history. Heath Ledger's final 24 hours were quiet, ordinary, and tragically human. His art, however, became eternal, a reminder of both the brilliance and fragility of those who give everything to their craft.